told, whom you and I weren't teammates.
Cheers, brother.
Thank you. We are now, that's right. But, I do want to say one thing. I've been texting Harmon Killebrew over the last couple of days, and I texted him today, and I just basically said to him, Bert here, I just want to wish you the best. Our prayers are with you, the Twins Fantasy Camp. And he did text back, and he said, I'd rather be there than here. So, he's as far as I know, he said he's going to beat it. He's going to beat this problem that he has right now. He's fought a lot through a lot of things in his life. But, when I think of the Hall of Fame, I think of two guys that I had the opportunity to play with that really played a big part in my career, and that was Harmon Killebrew and Willie Stargell. Two guys that just not only on the field they gave 100%, and you could see that they did. They loved the game of baseball, but also off the field what they meant. And it really, I think Stan was talking about, I only spent 3.5 months in the minor leagues, but I learned so much. I know coming out of high school, I ran into my first coach was Fred Waters, a left-handed pitcher that I don't know if he made it to the big leagues or not, but he was a guy that kind of knew what it took to get to that next level. And I flew into Melbourne, Florida in 1969 in July. Coming from Southern California, had humidity here in Florida. In July, I remember my shirt just kind of stuck to my chest, my little chest that I had. And when I was sent to the rookie ball in Sarasota, he made us run at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And he kept saying, if you want it, you're going to have to fight for it. And Julio, you can attest to this. It was different back then. I wanted it. I wanted it, and I was very fortunate that I came up at a very young age, and I enjoyed every part of it.
About the internet, Matt, Bert, how much did the internet play in, you think, in the last couple of years?
Well, there's one guy that I think, over the years, a guy named Rich Lederer, that, as far as I know, Rich Lederer, I haven't met him face to face. His dad wrote for the LA Times. I think over the years, the internet has really brought out different numbers, like the Baseball Hall of Fame. The writers that vote, there were 581 writers this year. And I think a lot of the new writers kind of look at the internet and they say, there's more behind baseball. I think we've seen it over the last couple of years. Zach Greinke won the Cy Young a couple of years ago. Felix Hernandez won it this year with only 13 wins. Greinke was 16 last year when guys had more wins. There's more to wins than, just going out. And what you want to do is be consistent. And this guy named Rich Lederer really brought that out over the last 7 or 8 years, and he really was in my corner. And I know even at the Hall of Fame, if there's one guy to thank, it would be Rich Lederer.
So you've never met him?
No, I've never met him.
Would you like to?
Well, hopefully one day he lives in Long Beach. Rich, why don't you come up? It's the first time I saw him, and it is him, so you guys are. He sent me a picture of his family. Damn. Thank you very much. Well, thank you, Rich. I appreciate that. I think the internet has played such a big part, I know, in my getting in.
Rich, why don't you talk, just share with the folks here, what was your motivation behind, you never met Bert, obviously. I think
he was an umpire, he told me. When I was in high school, he umpired, or I think I had signed, and you umpired behind the plate.
I've never been closer than 60 feet 6 inches to Bert before. We've never shaken hands, but back in 1973, Bert had already pitched 4 years in the major leagues. In fact, was coming off his best season in 1973. And he was pitching in a scout scheme at Lakewood High School in the Long Beach, greater Long Beach area, and of course Bert's from Garden Grove. And my high school baseball coach, I had played high school baseball at Lakewood, and I had just graduated, and my high school baseball coach asked me to umpire the Scouts League game. And I was umpiring high school baseball at that time, and I had no idea the Twins were playing. I certainly didn't have any idea that Bert was pitching that day. And so I go out there, I'm 18 years old, and he's 22, but I was looking up to Bert, and I knew Bert had this great
Well, I was taller than you at that time.
Well, you were standing on the mound. It was like 20 inches high back then. His curveball wasn't that great. He was just standing way up here, you know. But anyway, I had my American League chest protector, a big old balloon, and I get behind home plate, and I'm ready for Bert. He throws the very first pitch, the most hellacious curveball I've ever seen in my life. It was one of those nose-to-toes type of curveballs, and it was totally a strike. It was, you know, best curveball I'd ever seen, and it was like was sitting in the stands. I forgot I was the umpire, and I was supposed to call Steve Reich, but as we all know in baseball lexicon, if you don't say Steve Reich after about a second, it's a ball. And so I'm here, wow, that's a good curveball. I'm the umpire. I'm supposed to say Steve Reich. Instead, I didn't say anything. Bert comes walking down the hill, puts his hands on his hips like this. He's looking at me like, what was it, kid? And I didn't say anything, so I still couldn't say anything, so it was a ball. Bert laughed at me, walked back up to the mound, and then I took a deep breath and I told myself, all right, I'm not going to miss any more. And I thought I called a pretty good game after that. But that was my first introduction to Bert. And I think that was part of the reason why in 2003, when I started a baseball blog, I got behind Bert. And you know, the biggest reason was the fact that Bert was a Hall of Fame pitcher. He should have been in the Hall of Fame the very first year. He had all the numbers. I mean, every guy, I just got to say a few things. Every guy in the Hall of Fame who's eligible with 3,000 strikeouts is in the Hall of Fame, except until a week ago, Bert Blyleven, and he only had 3,701 strikeouts. Every guy in the Hall of Fame, every guy with 50 or more shutouts who was eligible for the Hall of Fame was in the Hall of Fame, except one guy, Bert Blyleven. He only had 60 shutouts. Every guy in the top 20 in wins since 1900 was in the Hall of Fame who was eligible, except for two guys, Bert Blyleven and Tommy John. Bert is 5th all-time in strikeouts, 9th all-time in shutouts, top 20 all-time in wins since 1900. There's only one.
And also 8th allowed in home runs.
But Bert won't tell you that all the guys around him in the home run leaders are also in the Hall of Fame. You have to be good to get that many home runs. But the only other pitcher in the history of baseball that was in those lists of strikeouts, shutouts, and wins, only one other pitcher, and that was Nolan Ryan. So there's only two guys in the history of baseball who have the number of strikeouts, shutouts, and wins that Bert has, and it's Bert and Nolan Ryan.
Just what Rich has said, you can see why since 2003, that when Cooperstown does call on July 24th, this man hopefully will be there with me. And I appreciate it, Rich, for all your support.
Absolutely, and thank you, Bert, and congratulations.